Hello there, my name is Meke, and I've just done a seminar at University of Nottingham, Research and Innovation, and basically what we have achieved during this session is we have reviewed techniques to deal with stress, anxiety, depression, burnout. And my focus today was basically on how health professionals can deal with burnout at the workplace. And during the session, we reviewed a number of techniques on how to deal with burnout because we are dealing with the workplace. And we know that at least 40 to 50% of health professionals have issues with burnout. So today's session was basically to look at how the health professionals can use tools to deal with burnout. So in the first part of the training, we discussed and looked at hacks or short-term tools that we can use to deal with any issue or any circumstance you find yourself in and how you can deal with that issue there and then. So basically, I reviewed a lot of the physiological or physical techniques that you can use. For example, we used tapping techniques. We used kriyas, where we did some breathing techniques. And also we used vibrations, vocal vibrations, whereby we try to change the state. And then we also used breathing. Well, some of the kriyas were quite simple, where we're doing like expiration with a sound like Ramu or Lamu. And these kriyas are often used to change the state physically. And then I went on to review tools that we used to change state. And the primary tools we used today was breathing using the intercostal muscles and using the diaphragm. So the whole purpose behind this is that when you start using the diaphragm, this parasympathetic system kicks in. And the whole idea of using the parasympathetic system is that it reduces your blood pressure, reduces your heart rate, and also the hormones, the stress hormones come down significantly. And we did some exercises using diaphragmatic breathing as opposed to chest breathing. And then we used a technique called square breathing, whereby we breathe in on 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, breathe out 4 seconds, and hold 4 seconds. So it's a tool that's very easy to use, and anybody can use it anywhere. And we also used techniques whereby we used square breathing with puffs. For example, you inhale and then take 3 puffs, hold, exhale, 3 puffs, hold, and these are techniques or hacks that one can use quite easily when you want to change your state or when you change your zone. The idea behind that is because we want to change the way you react to a situation, and so that it becomes a response. So there's slow thinking involved, whereby you're not in a situation dealing with a client or colleague, or you're just stressed out because issues are happening and you react to situations. And also long-term we're looking at well-being. We know that 40 to 50% of health workers have an issue with well-being, and a lot of it is to do with mental health. So these tools are supposed to help you deal with issues that are happening now. I also reviewed long-term techniques. And the long-term techniques are really what one has to look at going forward. And the long-term techniques are based on looking at how your mind works. And it's a psychological technique. And we talked about using a box, which is the mind, where you store all your thoughts, all your emotions, all your data, past experiences, intentions, desires. And we did exercises where we took the mind out of the game and we parked the mind so that you can actually work with what you have without the mind. And these are long-term techniques. So it's not really looking at changing your state or your zone, but it's looking at changing you internally. How do you cope with yourself? Not about your colleagues, not about your teams, not about your external situations. And this technique is really critical because when you want change, which involves disruption, which involves getting out of your comfort zone, you have to change the way you are. And this technique of being a neutral observer or an objective observer, which you should be as a scientist, as a researcher, is that you start looking things from some distance, whereby you start looking at what's happening around you without any attachment. The reason being that in the long run, without attachment, you're going to respond to situations, which is slow thinking really. And you don't want to be reactive all the time because you don't want to have to deal with your clients or people around you by reaction all the time. So it's really, the second part was just looking at how one can change their state in the long run, not just a quick hack. And that's the focus of the primary presentation today at Research and Innovation.